Coming up on today's show.
The first thing that they need to consider is where at home can they do their most focused, uninterrupted work.
You know, when people are told to go home, like we were told to go home a couple days ago, you literally could grab your laptop and a couple of other things, and you don't have supplies, you don't have file folders, you don't have the file box.
The other thing that helps with is not letting work bleed into personal time.
Productivity from working at home, today on Keeping You Organized. Well, hello, welcome to Keeping You Organized. Times have changed. All of a sudden, a bunch of people are working at home now, including me. I hope it's not quite the set that we had back at our office, but you know, it has to make do for now. So anyway, today we're going to talk about productivity at home with the home office, because a lot of people are in a home office now. We're going to bring on Debbie Rosemont. It's Simply Placed. Debbie, welcome to Keeping You Organized.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be back. I'm glad you reached out.
Now, I think do you have an office and a home office, or do you always work from a home office?
I always work from a home office. I have since 2003 when I started the Simply Placed company.
Yeah, and you have like several employees, right? So, but everybody works virtually.
That's right. We, primarily work in the homes and the offices of our clients. So we go to our clients, they don't come to us. Right. So when we need to collaborate as a team or do the behind the scenes, the non-client work, we're doing that from our respective home offices using, of course, technology and collaboration tools to work best together.
Okay, well, we're going to talk a little bit more later on this stuff, maybe as it relates to your home office. And but let's just start at the beginning. Someone, they go into their work and they say, "Guess what, guys? We're out for a couple weeks. You got to set up office at home." What do they do if they don't have a home office?
Yeah, I think the first thing that they need to consider is where at home can they do their most focused, uninterrupted work. And, while that might not be possible all day long, especially if they've got kids at home or other, maybe a partner that's also needing to work from home and they need to share the space, picking a space that's really going to be dedicated to work. Now, that can be, if there is a physical home office, a separate room for this, that's certainly ideal, with a door that can close and that sort of thing. And I'm lucky to have that set up here. But if you don't have a separate room or a dedicated space that's for that purpose, you can just decide on an area of the home. So it could be that it's a corner of a family room or a living room, a dining room table, just picking a spot that you'll use consistently. If you are doing video conferencing, which many of us are doing even more of now, any spot with natural lighting can help. Thinking about natural lighting also being beneficial to just seeing your work, that's helpful. And then some space where you can spread out your supplies. So picking a spot and then having supplies nearby. Again, if it's not a dedicated office, you may need some tools, and I know Smead has some great ones to make work portable. Where, let's say you're using a dining room table and you need to clear that off at the end of the day to be able to eat as a family. Then, I know Smead has portable file boxes and hanging file folders. I know that there are like tiered file holders that you could just pick up the whole thing. You have the Stadium products, those types of things. You can just pick up the whole thing, keep it organized where things aren't going to be, slipping around, and, move it someplace else for the time being. And then next time you go to work, you can put that right back up again and have access to the things that you need most. So I'd say having a dedicated space that is as free of distraction as possible, and then having the right supplies nearby so that you don't have to be wasting time looking for things or not having what you need.
Yeah, we would be remiss to not promote myorganized.life, which is Smead's direct sell site. And there are a lot of great products on there. And you hit on it, like the Stadium file. And when people are told to go home, like we were told to go home a couple days ago, you literally could grab your laptop and a couple of other things, and you don't have supplies, you don't have file folders, you don't have the file box. So those are some basic things. Of course, you'd think people would have like a stapler and some scissors and some basic things. But let's talk for a second about a simple, what we call in some of our other podcasts, active files. What would be like the minimum kind of filing setup you'd want to put on a desk?
Well, I think if you, especially if you don't have a filing cabinet to put some things away, if you do, or you have a file box, what I suggest you have out is the work you're currently working on, your current priorities. When you have everything out, then the other stuff can be distracting, the stuff that you don't need right now. So I suggest minimally you have the file folder or project folders and materials that you're currently working on. And then you have a spot to put those things away to take something else out. A tiered file holder like the Stadium file, that can be great because it keeps things kind of up and off the surfaces, so there's still room to work. So I'd say that's a minimal is, what are you currently working on? And then access to, like you said, your basic pen, scissors, maybe some Post-it notes, paper clips, that sort of thing. And that can be put into a caddy if you're needing to port it from one place to another. And then most of us will use some sort of device, right? So a laptop or a Surface, your phone, those are such critical tools to working virtually.
Right. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about how do you mix home and work together, because you might be working on your kitchen table, but hey, it's lunchtime or dinner time. We got to eat on that table. So I think there's some psychological things like that. So we're with Debbie Rosemont, It's Simply Placed, talking about productivity when you're working at your home office, and we'll be right back.
The Organized Home Office from myorganized.life. When you work from home, your workspace doesn't have to be bland and boring. Brighten up your home office with organizing solutions from myorganized.life. It's just for you. myorganized.life. myorganized.life.
We're back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about productivity in your home office, and a lot of people now moving home during the COVID-19 crisis, but even later on when this is all done, because these podcasts last forever, there are some good best practices. And we have Debbie Rosemont, It's Simply Placed. Debbie, so, the first half we talked about, okay, let's get it set up, let's get the right supplies, let's pick the right room, get some natural light if you can. You get to design your space any way you want. How do you separate work from home? And there's lots of ways we can go on that.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think this is particularly relevant when we're dealing with people that are working from home that haven't before. But I think that one of the things that may come out of, and again, if somebody's listening to this 5 years from now, hopefully this is still a very relevant message, because I think with more people telecommuting and working remotely, that some companies are going to come to realize they can have more of their workforce doing this more of the time. So even in a situation where some of the time you work in a commercial office and some of the time from home, these tips are relevant. So the idea of being able to kind of harmonize personal life and work life when you're working from a home office or a space at home, to me, means that it's important to kind of compartmentalize. So the benefit of working from home is that you can fit in some home tasks as breaks during your workday. So you can go throw that load of laundry in and then come back and do some work. And then, an hour later, switch that laundry and then come back and do some work. We can do that. We can take breaks. In fact, we should take breaks from work during the day. But we just don't want to get distracted during the time we intend to be working with those home tasks. So what I wouldn't want to have happen in that scenario is I take a break to go switch that laundry or take the laundry out of the dryer, and maybe I fold it and then I go put it away. And while I'm putting it away, I notice something else. Oh, I should probably organize my closet right now. So I take a couple hours and I organize my closet. And now I'm deep into my work time that I am intended to work just because I was distracted by this home task.
Right.
So compartmentalization means, as much as makes sense for you and everyone's different, have a schedule, right? Have identified what your work priorities are and make sure that those are listed and visible so that you have your eye on the prize, so to speak. And then you can use these other things as breaks in between those priorities, but you don't need to set a timer or be, again, thoughtful about, well, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go take a walk around the block, which is fantastic. We need to move, especially when we're working from home, because we don't have the same, camaraderie with taking a lunch break maybe with colleagues that we would otherwise. So getting up, moving, taking breaks, all good, but trying to compartmentalize. The other thing that helps with is not letting work bleed into personal time. So the opposite can happen, where I just described getting distracted by personal tasks in the workday. It can be tempting because we can walk by our office at home, early in the morning, late in the evening, and say, oh, maybe I should just go send one more email, or let me go, get that one thing done. And if that then cuts into personal time, self-care, family time, time to do things that are important to us outside of work, that's a problem too. So that's where the idea of compartmentalization, trying to have a schedule, get dressed in the morning. It's tempting to work in our pajamas, but there's something about getting our mind into work mode and having, clothes that aren't just our PJs on to work, to signal to our brain, this is time to focus on work. And then later change out of those clothes and put on workout gear and, whatever works for you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think having a planner and having just like, and even something like, if your habit is to, drive by Starbucks every morning on your way to work, well, just swing by your kitchen, grab your coffee in the, to-go lane, and go into your other room, and you can mimic some of your same habits that you had back when you worked in an office. And I think the idea of taking breaks is really key too.
Yeah. It's, sticking to your normal, even if it's in a different space, is comforting. And you probably put some habits in place or, created a routine that felt productive to you, when times were maybe different. So if you can stick to those, you're going to feel as productive.
Right. Let's talk about mindset too, because I think, again, it's one thing to, I smell lunch being cooked in the other room, I'm going to get out of there. But I think there's also other factors that go into your mind, as far as maybe even things like just focusing on one thing at a time, like we were talking about earlier. What other mindset tips are there?
I like to really suggest, and we did a podcast before, so maybe you can link to it or reference it in the notes here. But we did a podcast together on maximizing your energy to optimize your productivity.
Yes.
And we talked about a morning routine. I think no matter what, whether you're going away to an office, working from home, or it's even a weekend day and maybe you've got some personal things you want to get done, starting your day with a morning routine that works on mindset, a positive mindset, that helps get you grounded, that includes some physical movement, maybe some uplifting or positive reading or journaling, some quiet the mind, like meditation type exercises. That is all a good idea to create productivity, peace of mind, sense of control for the rest of the day. Right, so that's a really good practice to maintain anytime.
Right. Well, these are really good tips. We're just about done here. Let's just talk, to someone who works in their home with a team that's virtual. What kinds of services do you offer to people? And do you offer services to people who have home offices?
We definitely do. Right now, we're really focusing on our virtual offerings. So all the time we provide these, but especially now we're doing more and more of it. So virtual organizing sessions. So you can work with an organizer on my team virtually. We use Zoom, just like you and I are doing now. And that allows us to we can see somebody's space. They can send us pictures if we're talking about physical organizing, and we can coach somebody through the process of organizing their own space. Right. We can do check-ins and accountability. So virtual organizing sessions, we do virtual productivity consulting and work on things like time management and goal setting and all the things that help us be more productive and make the most of our time. And then we have a virtual productivity program, a membership-based group that anyone can do from anywhere. And it's a monthly program. They get webinars and ask the organizers, and we do an accountability day. It's a fantastic community of like-minded people who are all trying to achieve great things in their life and have this great work-life harmony as well. So those are a few of our virtual offerings specifically.
Awesome. And how do people get a hold of you?
So our website is www.itssimplyplace.com. And then we're also on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and that is just whatever that platform is /simplyplace.
Right.
So people can find us there.
Awesome. Well, Debbie, this has been so good. I think people need that mental help, which you can help them with. You can help them with the physical help. And I think we're going to hear a lot more in the coming weeks about more and more people working from home and, adjusting to really what's going to probably be a new normal.
Yeah, it's good for the environment. It saves us from having to be in stressful traffic. So like I said, I think even after this new normal is established, I think it will be something that will continue on for some people. And I think that's a good thing. I've got a new book project coming out where we're talking about the 1 habit for a thriving home office. So watch for that too.
Awesome, great. It's Debbie Rosemont, itssimplyplace.com. And folks, all I can say is when you're there at home, you can always come back to our next episode of Keeping You Organized.